Father, Son, and Holy Sport, getting ready for the bowl season coming up here. We've got NFL going on, Team Money. I got Team Money over there in Western Ohio at this
Oh
time.
yeah.
G-Man here in Columbus. And we got a lot of exciting news and things to look forward to. And we got things to wrap up from
Oh
the
yeah.
fantasy playoffs, Team Money. How you
Yep.
doing?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad out here in Wapakoneta in the basement of the Waterman household here for Christmas time. Good times here, home of Neil Armstrong. So you dare don't disrespect this hallowed ground I'm sitting on right now,
We bring
okay?
you back from California to Ohio, to the good country where the Buckeyes live.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And Bearcats live. That's a UC state, baby. Let's go.
Can the Bearcats get into it as we shift gears? What the heck is going on in the world, man? What the world of sports of Team Money? What are you
Oh
seeing?
man. Well, speaking of Ohio, how about that Browns Ravens game from this past week? I mean, that was the game of the year, I think. I don't think anyone would dispute that. 42 to 47, back and forth. Lamar out with what seemed like he had to poop, but he says cramps. I don't know. I don't know who to believe. I'll take his word for it, I guess, but it's a hilarious conspiracy theory. I mean, he had 100 yards rushing, Lamar did, had an okay passing game, only 80 yards through 3.5 quarters, ended up with about 160. But Baker had a phenomenal game, and this is the big step I thought Baker needed to take here. 2 weeks in a row now, versus two playoff teams, over 300 yards passing. He went over 360 yards in this game, had 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, one to tie the game with a minute left. I mean, he did everything he wanted to do. He had a pick in the third quarter, which was tough. But after that, he went 12 for 15, had a phenomenal fourth quarter. I mean, he looked great, but the only thing you can complain about is their defense not stopping anyone, and you're going up against Justin Tucker, who's the most clutch kicker in NFL history.
And people won't pick up Baker in fantasy. They just do not have the confidence in him still. He's out there and people can grab him, and the guy's getting
Yeah,
so many
yeah.
points right now. And now we got the Steelers, who are the undefeated team. Now they're 11-2 in the AFC North. And then we got the Browns at 9-4 and the Ravens at 8-5. So
Yeah.
this thing's tightening up here in the
It
AFC
was.
North.
It was. And that was a big, big loss for the Browns there, too, because if they could have been sitting at 10-3 and the Steelers, who are 11-2, play at the end of the year, they could somehow get that 1 seed. So that was a big loss for the Browns with playoff implications. They're still getting into the playoffs, so it's still a really successful season for them. But that was a big loss. But if you're going to lose and be happy, the Browns can be happy about that loss.
But the Ravens are the ones with the streak. They've won 2 in a row. So they're the
Yep.
ones with momentum right now in that AFC North. So Baker's going to have to fight him off to the end.
Yeah, yep, I know. And speaking about another team with momentum, how about Mahomes again wins, and the MVP race, though, looks like it's shortening. Now the Chiefs win, and they're on a hot streak. They 15-1, but I think Rodgers closed the gap a little bit this week in the MVP discussion. What do you think about that?
Well, I think the Mahomes, they've won 8 games in a row. I mean, you
Yeah.
got to win. To get the MVP, you have to
You do.
win.
You do.
And, the Chiefs coming down the stretch in this AFC, they're going to be right in the hunt, and I have a lot of confidence, and I trust Mahomes.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know what's going to happen there with Rodgers. Will he come through in the clutch? I know he's won 1 Super Bowl, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
have
the
the
big
confidence
thing.
in him.
Yeah, he's won a couple MVPs, and Rodgers' team is looking good. They're 10-3, so they're not too far behind the Chiefs here. They have a really good record, and I think they're one of the top contenders to take down the Chiefs this year. Now, Rodgers has more touchdowns, less picks, and Mahomes has less fumbles, more yards. And so it really is a toss-up here, but I think it really comes down to, like you said, when you're playing big games and you're playing in the clutch, how do you look? And Mahomes lost this year. He played great. The defense played poor. Now, Rodgers this year might have had his worst game of his career this year versus Tampa Bay. I mean, they scored 7 points on their opening drive, and then I think he had like 60 yards the entire game. It was just despicable, passer rating in the gutter. I mean, it was his worst game he's ever played as a pro. So I think when you look at their worst games, it's not even close. And then your record and everything else kind of speaks for itself. I think the door opened because Mahomes threw a couple picks and Rodgers played about perfect game, but it's still Mahomes by a hair.
I think Mahomes is the better player right now, but at the route to the Super Bowl, it's a lot easier in that NFC. There's really not anyone else, formidable.
Yeah.
Like you're seeing over in the AFC, many teams could win that.
Yeah.
But in the NFC, the Packers are 10-3. Second place in their conference is or in their division are 6-7.
Yeah.
The Vikings are 6-7.
Yeah.
The Packers are coasting in that North. They really don't have, the competition that the AFC has.
But hey, that might come to bite them in the butt when they don't play anyone good and then they get smacked in the jaw by a team that is. So it's going to be interesting. But speaking of another close division, Jalen Hurts gets his first win as a start. That was pretty big for him, and he actually looked pretty darn good. I mean, he had 100 rushing yards and almost 200 yards passing versus the number one defense in the NFL. Let's not get that twisted. New Orleans defense is the best in the NFL. And that was a phenomenal showing for a rookie's first start ever in the NFL. That was very impressive.
People don't have confidence in Jalen Hurts, and he always overcomes. The guy is unbelievable.
Don't doubt this guy.
Competitor and leader.
Yeah.
And here he comes again. Surprising everybody in the NFL. No one thought he could do it. The guy's a friggin' leader. And now he's got him in contention. They're 4-8-1. The Giants are 5-8, and Washington's 6-7. Washington's won 4 in a row, and my man Chase Young, who's in the picture here on our What in the World photo. Look at Chase Young grabbing that ball and running for a touchdown.
Oh yeah, that was great.
They could not run him down. A defensive end, they could not run him down.
I mean, they easily have the best defensive line in the NFC East. It might actually be the best unit in the NFL defensive line wise. I mean, that is a scary defensive team, and Alex Smith is playing well. Although he got a little dinged up, he came out of the game with a calf injury, and you always want to be careful with Alex Smith after his injuries. But they look good, man. I mean, their last 2 wins, they beat the Steelers and the Niners. They're no joke. Like, they're beating legit teams here. So I think that they have control of this division, but the Eagles are coming. Hurts looks good. The Giants coming off a bad loss. And, let's not forget Dallas. I mean, they're okay. They beat a sorry Bengals team. They beat a very sorry Bengals team coming from a Bengals fan here. But, I don't know what's going on with that team as well. Zeke still looks horrible. He looks sad and sorry. So I don't know. It's going to be an interesting division.
Well, I mean, the fantasy season, I've got a little story to tell. I started last year because of you, T-Money.
Oh, yeah.
T-Money, you got me into your league. I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this. And I got in, and I won the league the first year. And my gosh, I was like, this is awesome. I love this whole fantasy sports thing. It's NFL. It's awesome. And then I come back this year, and I get into the playoffs, and I think I'm going to do it again. And I got knocked out. Last week, I scored 130 points, which was really my goal, to get 130. And now I've been second-guessing myself all week, T-Money, just wondering what I could have done not to get knocked out by a competitor who's tough. But I could have beat him if I made just a couple different decisions.
Well, welcome to 99% of America here, Gary. Okay, you're over there feeling all fun and free, like, oh yeah, fantasy football's fun. Oh yeah, it's great.
In the playoffs.
That's all he kept telling me all year long. I'm like, wait till you get to the playoffs and you don't win again. He's like, well, I'm undefeated in the playoffs. Okay, let's pump the brakes here, Gary. Let's pump the brakes a little bit. Okay, welcome. I mean, you're playing one league right now. Wait till you're playing in 2 to 3 leagues, and you're playing in a King of the Hill game and a Last Man Standing game, and you lose all of them every single year.
My heart's broken already right now.
Yeah, and you lose them all every single year. Now we both are defending
withdrawal.
Yeah, you are. I mean, you don't know what to do. I mean, we both got lucky last year. We both won a championship, so we can't complain too much. But welcome to the bottom, my friend. It is great to have you here. Everyone is excited. Join us. I myself lost last week in both my fantasy leagues, so I'm depressed, but I know this feeling, so I can swallow it and put it in my gut and not show anyone. I cry when my girlfriend goes to bed. That's really when I do all my crying. But yeah, so
well, we're going to be missing the playoffs and the fantasy for a while, but we got other sports that we're going to pick up and keep you all motivated out there. All of our fans who follow us, and we want you to subscribe and like our social channels. And we're out there. We're on all the channels. Just check us out. And we're going to keep bringing it to you, man. Team Money and I, Team Money's picked me up off the dirt and dusted me off.
Yeah.
And now I'm ready to go back at you. We got some plans coming up.
Yeah.
And one thing we're really excited about, Team Money, is December 30th show. We're going to focus the New Year's Eve Bowl special. We're going to be dressed up. We're going to be talking about the bowl games. We're going to be pumped. Make sure you watch our December 30th show. We're going to be talking, every week. But we want you guys to get ready for that one.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one. We're going to start, bringing in college football a little more here, and then that one will be specifically college only, focused on those bowl games and the college football playoff coming up. It'll be really fun, and then, towards the new year, we'll start bringing in other sports if that happens. We're ready to evolve, but, we're excited for the next phase here and bring everyone along with us.
Hey, the other thing, too, is we're going to bring some guests in. So you want to be a guest on our show, please write us, drop us a note. And you can be a guest on our show. Of course, we're always looking for sponsors. And speaking of our sponsors, Team Money, we're going to the Woundwise IQ Trivia of the Week.
Yeah.
We're looking for sponsors for the trivia program. Of course, Woundwise has been a very dedicated sponsor of the show. Today's trivia brought to you by Woundwise. Woundwise IQ is a patented mobile imaging and analytics software application that is used by leading physicians and nurses caring for people with chronic wounds. Learn more at woundwiseiq.com. So, Team Money, here's our trivia of the week.
Okay.
I want you to think about this. First played in 1935. Did you realize that? The Orange Bowl. First gained a sponsor in 1989. Two of the three sponsors since 89 are competitors. Which ones are they?
Oh, man.
So, that's your trivia question. Give you about 20 minutes to think about that before we come back and ask you.
Well, how'd you like that
answer.
first game in 35, Gary? Was that a fun game to be at, or
It was very, very memorable. Very memorable. My dad told me about it.
Oh, okay,
yeah. But you think about that, Team Money.
All right.
1989, I'm sure that you weren't born, but it was a good year for me.
Oh, yeah. It was great because you weren't alive.
Oh, no, I didn't mean that. That's funny.
All right.
But let's keep going here. Let's go to the picks of the week. And Team
All right.
Money.
Focusing on college football. Here we go.
Yeah. So hey, looking at the college landscape, before we make the picks, we got 6 teams vying for those 4 spots that are going to happen on New Year's Day when those first 4 start playing. And 6 teams vying for it. Of course, you got this whole discussion about did everybody play enough games, specifically Ohio State. And you look at the number of games played. Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame, after this weekend, will have played 11. We got Texas A&M and Cincinnati, who will have played 9. And then you've got Ohio State that will be 6 after this weekend. And my question is, first, Team Money, is 6 that much different than 9?
Well, I think the problem is with the playoff committee here is they're saying the fact that Ohio State's had games canceled and they have less games, it doesn't affect them. But then when we have games canceled as a Cincinnati team, we drop in the rankings. And, we were 6th. We had a game canceled. We went to 7th. We had a game canceled. We went to 8th. Now we're 9th. And, we had games canceled because of other people. So did Ohio State. I mean, we both have only played – we've played no games the past 4 weeks, and you've played 1 as an Ohio State fan, and we've dropped, and you guys haven't. So that's my only thing. I want some consistency from the playoff committee. I think that 6 is fine because Ohio State's clearly one of the best 4, but just have some consistency. It's a little upsetting for them to give one team another and, a different criteria for each.
You sound like a dedicated Cincinnati fan. They're not winning convincing games, so that's not helping.
Oh, we are the only team that has a winning record versus every team we played. So, we do have if we beat Tulsa this weekend, we will have beaten 3 top 25 teams, which not many people can say.
That is going to be a battle. That's a battle this week. We'll talk about that. But I'm talking about these number of games. I mentioned 11, 9, and 6. Guess who played after this weekend 12 games?
Alabama.
No, I said Alabama was 11.
I don't know.
Clemson's 11. Notre Dame's 11. There's a team after this weekend that'll play 12.
I'm not sure.
You should know this. They're in the top 10. Coastal Carolina, the Chanticleers,
Oh, my God.
are playing in the Sun Belt Championship this weekend against Louisiana. And that's going to be a good game. If the
Yeah.
Chanticleers, yeah, it could be 12-0. So interesting. But let's go to our picks. We were 4-2 last week. Pretty solid round of picks for our picks of the week. We're shifting some gears here this week to college. We're going to start off with our lock of the week. G-Man's lock of the week here for this week is Clemson over Notre Dame. And I'll tell you why I'm picking that pick. Clemson minus 10.5, the over-under 60. This is in Charlotte at 4 o'clock this coming Saturday. We got a triple header this weekend. This Saturday is triple header. And the middle game's this Clemson-Notre Dame game in Charlotte. Notre Dame managed to clip the Tigers in South Bend in one of the games this year, so we all know that. Trevor Lawrence was not there. Notre Dame is 10-0. They had a weekend off, so they got to prepare here a little bit for this. People are like, well, Notre Dame's going to be ready for this thing. I know they're ticked that they're 10-point dogs here. I'm sure they're talking about the fact that they're 10-point dogs, and that's getting to them. But, Clemson knows if they win, that they are in. Losing, they're out. Pretty much, that's pretty much it. So this should be, in my mind, really, in everybody's mind, it should be a pick 'em game. So what I'm going Lee Corso on this. Somebody knows something. I'm going Clemson to cover, and Notre Dame, will just be on the bubble if they lose.
Yep. I still think Notre Dame gets in as long as they don't get completely blown off. If they lose by 20 or more, I think they don't get in. But if they keep it within, the teens to, within 10, that'll be enough to keep them in, I think. They didn't have Trevor Lawrence last time, and they didn't have 3 of their best 4 defenders last time when they played Notre Dame. So I think that this actually will be a Clemson throttling. But as a Cincinnati fan, I'm rooting for Notre Dame. We want a playoff spot here. Speaking of Cincinnati, though, I'm going to go Cincinnati. I'll take 14 points over Tulsa. They've covered their spread almost every game this year. It's been very impressive. They need to win big. Not only win, but win big. Tulsa is ranked, so this is a big game to score some points with the committee that likes the Tulsa team. You win this game by 30-plus points, and you just make a statement, hold them to sub-20 points. I mean, we have one of the best defenses in the country. We held the number 1 offense, UCF, who was scoring over 650 yards a game to less than 350. We have a phenomenal defense, and Desmond Ridder has already won Conference Player of the Year in the American, so he's very talented. And I think Cincinnati's got to win this big. So I just think there's no other way for me to go on this than
It's an 8 o'clock game on Saturday night. Well, same time Alabama's playing. We got Cincinnati, Tulsa. Tulsa ranked 23, Cincinnati ranked 9. And it'll be interesting to see if they can cover that point spread. But you're right, they do need a convincing win. I'm going to go to my over-under lock special. I'm going to the OSU Northwestern game. I'm going to triple header picks. All of these picks that I've got are triple header Saturday games. OSU Northwestern, over under lock. I'm going under on that game. Ohio State up against Northwestern. They're favored by 20. The over under is 58, which sounds like a lot, but in college, not that much. But this is the Big Ten championship game. Both teams have motivation. You could argue either way on both teams. But we know the Buckeyes want to get some style points. They want to make sure they lock in and get this thing and that nothing's up for discussion. We know that. Northwestern still is going to be fired up. They're going to want to prove something themselves, that they've kind of been overlooked here and disrespected, and they're using that as motivation. I just think Ohio State's going to win this game, but it could be lower scoring. And in sports lines, 10,000 simulations that they did, 70% of the time it went under. I'm kind of agreeing with that. This thing starts off slow, and we think Justin Fields is going to light it up, and he might at the end. I think Buckeyes score 40, but it goes under 58.
Wow. So 40-18 is what you're expecting
or worse, yeah.
That's very interesting there, because I was going to say the Buckeyes don't have a great defense this year, so it's going to be a really interesting one. But I think definitely Ohio State wins this game. My lock, though, I'm going to go with the different conference championship game, which seems to be the trend of the picks here. I'm going USC versus Oregon. USC, I'll take the 3
Going
points.
Out west. The
Yep.
Cali man's going
Oh,
to go out
yeah.
west and
Got to stick to the
side with his
Pac-12
California
now.
team.
Yeah, got to stick with the Pac-12 now. Oregon technically should not even be in this game. It was originally Washington's game, and because of COVID, they are out and Oregon is in, which is the craziest thing I've ever heard. And Oregon is undefeated. They still have playoff hopes alive if they can get a dominant win, I guess. I don't know, win by 50. Yeah, but I think USC should and very well easily could blow them out here. Yeah, this is a no-brainer, I think. Oregon doesn't even deserve to be in this game. They lost to Cal and Oregon State. Yeah, I just don't think this is even – I think it's surprising it's even this small.
I mean, USC's got a run going. They're playing well.
Yeah,
I mean,
undefeated.
they knocked off Utah. They killed Utah.
Yeah.
And then they come UCLA had them beat, and they came back and scored 43 on UCLA. I mean, that's a lot of points on UCLA.
Yeah, they're a good team.
And so yeah, they got a good team there.
Yeah, they do.
So let's keep going. Let's go to the next one here. This is the dog lock. Here, this last column is the dog lock column. Teams that are getting 3 or more that we think could possibly win the game, and you're not going to believe it, but I got Florida here, man.
Whoa.
I know we don't share these picks in advance, so we don't get a chance to – we kind of react live here on the show for all you fans.
Yeah.
But I'll bet you people are like, what? G-Man's taking Florida plus 17? 2 weeks ago, Bama crushes LSU 55-17. 1 week ago, LSU beats Florida. It must be a beatdown. And here's the thing. Alabama has covered 7 straight games they've covered. But that string has to end. All strings are meant to end.
Yeah.
I think Alabama's going to win this. Even if they lose, they're in the Final Four. Let's don't get hurt. Let's save it for the real crown jewel, which is New Year's Day, baby. That's what they're saving it for.
Yeah.
Their second string's going to be in there in the fourth quarter, and Florida's going to rack up points. I think thing's going to end like 42-28.
Yeah.
That's a Florida win.
Yeah, that's a Florida cover for sure. It's going to be interesting. Florida can put up points, and they might have the best non-quarterback player in the country in Kyle Pitts. He's a phenomenal tight end, one of the best that's come out in a very long time. He might be the best non-quarterback player in America. The guy is just phenomenal to watch. Top 10 pick coming out this year, top 5 potentially. But I think Alabama wins convincingly. My underdog.
The real question in this game is.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that the real question in this game is, Steve Money, is does Mac Jones lock up that Heisman Trophy? His teammate Devontae Smith is in the running also. Maybe Devontae gets an invite to New York. Who's going to lock it up in this game? Do they lock it up?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Actually, Devontae Smith right now on ESPN is leading the Heisman watch. So he could be the first.
This game could swing it.
Here's a little trivia for you, Gary. Who's the last wide receiver to win a Heisman Trophy?
That's Desmond Howard from Michigan.
Desmond Howard from Michigan. That is right. 1991.
What, you trying to stump the G-Man?
I know.
I thought to stump the G-Man?
Very impressive that you got that. Yeah, 1991. That's a special year I was born. Michigan guy. So yeah, last time a wide receiver won, and I think Devontae Smith should win this. Now, Kyle Pitt doesn't have the statistical stats that Devontae Smith does, but this guy's unbelievable. Has punt return touchdowns, leading setting an all-time Alabama record in reception touchdowns. So watch out for him in a Heisman. Not a QB this year, which would be awesome. But my dog lock of the week here, I'm going to go Iowa State over Oklahoma. They're getting 5.5 points, so I think that they could cover that. But at the same time, they have already beaten Oklahoma. It's actually pretty crazy. They beat Oklahoma 37-30, so they can put up points. Their defense has gotten phenomenally better since then. They look really good. They lost their first game of the season, and then after beating Oklahoma, they won nine games, losing one by a then number 6 in the country, Oklahoma State, by 3 points.
Right.
So they're on a hot streak themselves. I mean, they're looking great. I think this is surprising that line is that big and that they're not even favored. I mean, Oklahoma looks great, but it's not like Iowa State's look bad. They're on a big winning streak, too. I think they've won 5 in a row and 8 out of their last 9. So watch out for this. This is an easy upset pick.
Beat Texas 2 weeks ago and totally crush West Virginia the
Yeah.
last time they played.
Yeah. So there
Good
you go.
pick, man. Good pick. That's really exciting. Hey, let's move on to the next one here. We're going to go on to a little twist here on our hot and cold. We're focusing on DFS, Daily Fantasy Sports. I want to explain a little bit about Daily Fantasy Sports.
I don't know if you
for
need to
those fans
explain
out
it.
there, T-Money.
I don't know if we need to explain it to our viewers here, Gary. I think that they get it.
I
Not
don't know if all
everyone,
of our viewers understand this.
and not everyone's like you. You're a very unique case who never had done this before.
Well, the DFS stands for Daily Fantasy Sports.
Brief
And
statement.
You can go to sites like DraftKings, which I like the best, or FanDuel. You can go there and you can build a lineup. So, like in your season fantasy, you have your same team the whole year. You do trades and things. But in a daily fantasy, you just pick it for that day or that weekend, and so your team can change all the time. So that's a little bit different. You have a limited budget. You can spend that budget on whatever players you pick, and there's different formats of the game. So it's kind of fun to play the different formats. And you can play for nothing. You don't have to play for anything. You don't have to bet money. You could just play for no money. It's just the competition, man. You like competition like Team Money and I do? It's a fun thing to do. And
Yeah.
if you're out of your playoffs, what else are you going to do, man?
Exactly. Hey, phenomenal description there. I think I rediscovered what it meant to do DraftKings and daily fantasy there. So, let's hear what
so
your lineup
check it
is
out.
here. Yeah, let's see who your lineup is here, Gary.
All right. I got the hot, T-Money as the cold, and you can see 5 hot for DFS. Really, it's 3 hot because we're only doing the first 3. We're doing quarterback, running back, wide receivers, and I'm going to start off with who I think is going to be an undervalued quarterback. Remember, we're talking about value here. You got a budget, so you can only spend so much. So who can you get that's going to get a lot of points, a lot of fantasy points, that doesn't cost a lot? I'm starting with Phillip Rivers, who's $5,900, and if you play the game, the $5,900 for a quarterback is not that much. Phillip Rivers is up against Houston. He's really he's been down in that category all year. No one's really had confidence in Phillip Rivers.
No.
He's only been above $6,000, I think, one time all season. He's averaged almost 20 fantasy points over the past 8 games. People don't know that.
Pretty good.
They got 27 for 35 for 282 and 2 scores against Houston 2 weeks ago. They're playing Houston again. They rank 21st in fantasy points allowed to quarterbacks, and they just let Trubisky crush them for 36 points.
Yeah, that was a crazy game.
I'm going to get Phillip Rivers on a good deal here. $5,900. I'm going to buy Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, that's a good deal. He'll definitely throw an interception because that's what he does, but he might have a good game other than that. And like you said, Houston's defense is horrible. So solid value pick there. My cold QB, though, I'm going to go with Josh Allen here. Okay, either going up and playing at Denver. It's really cold there. Denver's defense is sneaky good. He's been below 19 points 2 of the last 3 weeks, and he's projected at 24. And right now at, I think, the 5th best quarterback or 5th most quarterback dollar amount. I would not spend it on Josh Allen. I think he's going to have a cold week this week. I don't think, not only physically, but statistically.
Denver's got a tough D, and Josh Allen's up and down. I can definitely see that happening. $7,200. Look at the price on that versus Rivers. I mean, that's a lot of money to pay for Josh Allen when you don't know what he's going to do. I'm going to go up to running back with J.K. Dobbins. Dobbins finally recognized as a leader there in the backfield in Baltimore. Last game, 13 carries, 53 yards, and a touchdown. Had 13 fantasy points. He's up against Jacksonville, the 3rd most generous run defense in fantasy. They yielded 249 rushing yards to Derrick Henry.
Man, he's a beast.
And I think they're going to do it here again. The running game's going to knock Jacksonville out.
Yeah.
Dobbins is projected as the 22nd ranked running back on DraftKings. I think $5,900 is a great value for Dobbins.
Yeah, that's good value. Lamar's probably going to run for 200 himself, and I wouldn't be surprised if Dobbins runs for 100 himself. So he's coming alive for sure. And just to give you guys some reference, here's one of the most expensive running backs, if not the most expensive this week, $9,000. So that you can see that that's almost a $3,100 dollar difference between these two running backs. But I'm going cold for Dalvin.
Exactly $3,100.
I'm just better at math than I ever thought I would be. So I'm going cold for Dalvin Cook this week, though. He's projected at 23. Chicago's defense is the sixth best defense versus running backs, and he's less than 19 points 2 out of the last 3 weeks. Okay, he's projected at 23. Last time he played Chicago, he only had 15. And I think that he's going to have a tough week versus defense. Both teams are 6-7. Both teams. So they're both vying for a playoff spot. Chicago's coming in rejuvenated after Trubisky got back in there. Huge win versus Houston. I think that they're going to roll the Vikings here and focus solely on Dalvin Cook not beating them.
And we're not saying, all you fans out there, we're not saying don't start Dalvin Cook in your fantasy league. We're saying that for the value of $9,000, he really has to get a lot of fantasy points in order for you to make money on that.
Yeah.
So
you need to think he's going to get more than his projection.
So I'm going over to my lock value pick, or wide receiver, Brandon Ayuk. San Francisco 49ers are playing the Cowboys. $6,300. These are DraftKings dollars. If you look at FanDuel, there'll be different dollar amounts. We're showing you DraftKings dollars here. $6,300. Ayuk has had a great season. He's a rookie, and the reason I really like him here is that Deebo Samuel went down with a hamstring injury last week. So now Ayuk kind of has that lock-in lead role. He caught 10 of 16 last week for 119. He got 22 fantasy points last week. Arizona State guy, one of your West Coast guys, man.
Yeah.
I think he's up against Dallas, the 25th ranked defense against wide receivers in fantasy. He's ranked as 13th wide receiver on DraftKings. I'm buying Brandon Ayuk at $6,300, putting him on my team.
Yeah, that's a good one. He's clearly become the number one receiver there. The dude's a stud, freak athlete. Dallas' defense horrible, so this might be an easy one because San Francisco's still in the hunt for the playoffs, so they need to win. But my cold pick of the week is a different rookie. I'm going Justin Jefferson. Now, I think the Vikings are going to have a tough day all around here. They're going to be focusing on Dalvin Cook so much that Kirk Cousins' play-action passes are not going to be working. I think the last time that Chicago played them, they didn't really care about Justin Jefferson yet. He wasn't the guy he was now. This was about half the season ago, so they weren't focusing on him, and that was really his breakout game. In that game, he went 8 catches for 135 yards, and that was the first blowout game, big points he had in fantasy. I don't think they make that mistake again. I think that they make sure they know where this guy is at on the field. They're not going to let him beat them because of how great he's been recently, and I think they wanted to vindicate the last time they played. Minnesota beat them in a close one. I think that this defense is going to come motivated, so watch out.
To see what happens with Minnesota. They lost that game. They're kind of folding here.
Yep.
Really, they were playing pretty well, but now they're almost going to miss the playoffs, and this is really going to be interesting to watch. Do they completely fall apart now?
Yeah.
Hey, good pick there on your board there, Team Money. Good luck on those picks. Good luck on your daily fantasy plays. I know you're a big DFS guy.
Yeah, I try.
Got the lingo down, DFS. Hey, we're going to work our way to the finish. We've got two exciting steps here to the finish, and then we're going to throw the Hail Mary to y'all. And before we do that, we got a Ross v. Ross, and we got, of course, the answer to your trivia of the week. So let's start off with the Ross v. Ross. If you were an NFL coach, which wide receiver would you want for the next 5 years? And there's a ranking there from Fantasy Pros showing the top 7 and their age, because we're talking next 5 years here. Which wide receiver would you want? Team Money, I'll let you go first. Who do you think? It doesn't have to be off that list. You can pick whoever you want. Who do you want on your team?
Well, I am going to go off that list, and I'm going to go with probably someone off the list not a lot of guys would actually pick, because I'm going with Tyreek Hill. All right? I think that this guy is special. All right? He's clearly the fastest wide receiver in the league, and I don't think it's even a discussion. And he can just take the top off any defense. He is such a game changer. And I know he has Mahomes, which is great, but he was great with Alex Smith before this. And if you look at other guys around the league, Antonio Brown was doing the same thing. It's not just because he had Mahomes. Antonio Brown had a guy who could throw the ball deep and take the top off the defense. These guys are special. They change the game. I mean, just in one game this year, this guy went for 13 catches, 269 yards. That's the fourth highest yards in a game by or 14th highest yards in a game by a receiver ever in NFL history. He had 3 touchdowns to go along with that. I mean, the guy is unbelievable. I mean, having your best receiver also be the fastest guy in the field is just a complete game changer. I mean, just look at him. His signature is a peace sign because he's always just running past people.
Well, that and the flip he does in the end zone, that's pretty cool too.
Because there's no one near him. There's no one near him.
I'm ticked off for Tyreek Hill for beating my fantasy team. The guy went off last week. I mean,
he goes off every week. He goes off every week.
But I'm going to pick somebody else. I'm going to go against that pick. I'm going DK Metcalf, number 2 up there on the board from Fantasy Pros. So Fantasy Pros would say I have this right. Look at that! Look at this guy. He's got a 6-pack like G-Man used to sport, a few years back. And DK Metcalf, he's the 9th receiver selected in the 2019 draft. The 9th receiver. Okay, he's had an up and down year on fantasy.
That's unbelievable.
So people say, "Oh, he's up and down." Yeah, he has been up and down. That's true. But he is the league wide receiver. He's the wide receiver leader in the league in receiving yards. He's got 1180. There's only one guy ahead of him, and that's my man Travis Kelce, and he's a tight end.
That's crazy.
But DK heads it up. He had a 10-catch, 177-yard performance in the first week of December, where he overtook Tyreek Hill for the number of yards. He's got more yards, my friend, than Tyreek Hill. So that's my first argument.
He does, just barely, okay? Not a lot. Tyreek was leading the league, then DK was. I mean, it's back and forth between these guys. And you want to talk about even more of an underdog. Yeah, DK was in the second, third round. Tyreek was in the 5th round, okay? Even more of a guy that's an underdog, got a chip on his shoulder. And I think what's special about this guy is he can affect multiple phases of the game. Right now, DK can just run and just overpower guys. That's great. He is a beast of a receiver. But Tyreek confuses guys when he goes in motion because of his jet sweeps. Not only does he lead the league in reception touchdowns, but he also has 2 rushing touchdowns. Okay? DK's not doing anything like that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay.
But you don't see many guys receiving that are 6'4", 228 that can run a 4.3 that run down Buda Baker. Like he's running a 22.64 miles an hour to show leadership and speed to run down Buda Baker.
I get he ran down Buda Baker, but Tyreek Hill would have met him face on because he would have been in the end zone already. That's how fast this guy is. I mean, once again, not only can he run the ball on jet sweeps, catch passes, he can also punt return. He has made the Pro Bowl as a returner. So if you need to change the game, you can have him change the game at multiple phases of the game. I just think he just can do so much. If you were asking me this 2 to 3 years from now, Metcalf might be the guy for me because his route tree will be bigger. He'll have a little more experience. Right now, he's dropped some big balls in the end zone. I just think he's not there yet, but Tyreek is just such a game changer for me. And he's in a perfect position, yes, but I'm drafting any guy with a cannon of an arm and just throwing it up there for him.
If you said next 3 years, that'd be a different question. But next 5 years, when I start to add 5 years onto these, look at that ranking right there. The oldest guy is 28, DeAndre Hopkins. That means 28 is kind of the ceiling.
Yeah.
When they start getting to your HT money, that's when they kind of start going over the hill. So that 28 is the kind of thing here. Tyreek Hill, what's 26 plus 5? That's
I know.
31, my man.
31's getting up
is
there.
Too old. I don't think he can do it in 5 years. 3 years, I might have agreed with you. Not 5.
I think the craziest thing about this whole argument is the fact that DK Metcalf is 23. I mean, that is insane. The guy is in the argument for the best receiver in the league, and he's 23.
I'll just ask you one last question to see if you get this right. What does DK stand for?
I do not know, but he's Donkey Kong King over there. That's all I know.
No, he's Decalen Zacharias.
Okay.
Decalen Zacharias Metcalf from the University of Mississippi. That's the man. Hey, nice points there, man. Let's move
thanks
on
for conceding to me.
Let's see what you got for Wound Wise Trivia of the Week. We
Okay.
asked you this. We're going toward the Hail Mary finish here on this show here as we gear up. For those of you still in the fantasy playoffs, man, go get it this weekend. We're working our way to the finish. For those of you who are not, you can get into daily fantasy games. We're giving it all to you here. We got the bowl games coming up. Got a great weekend, a triple header on Saturday. So a lot going on. Let's finish up this trivia of the week and talking about the
Man.
Orange Bowl, which will be here before we know it. 2 of 3 sponsors since 1989 are competitors. Team Money, which ones are they?
Man, I am just totally blanking. Usually I'm great at this. I can name every other bowl sponsor right now. Part of me wants to say Chick-fil-A, but I'm almost certain that's the Peach Bowl, so I don't want to say that.
Yeah.
And part of me wants to say
Right.
that it's just Florida oranges, so that's what I'm kind of leaning towards.
So
It's
you
like
can't name any of
Florida
the
versus.
three.
I really can't. It's probably like KFC and Subway. It's
No, you're not
always.
gonna. You definitely know this. You probably have it in your wallet. What
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
credit card do you have in your wallet?
Oh, a Chase.
Oh, no. No, I
Visa.
didn't know you had Chase.
Oh, a little Visa? Is that what you're trying to say?
Capital One.
I do have a Capital One in my
Yeah, well,
wallet.
here we are,
That is-
man. Capital One is the current sponsor on the right. That's the current sponsor.
Oh, that's right.
Capital One started in 2014. Prior to Capital One, it was Discover, a competitor.
That's right.
Discover had it from 2011 to 2014. And back at the beginning,
FedEx.
1989 all the way to 2010, the FedEx Orange Bowl was
Okay.
the original.
That one makes sense. FedEx, I remember specifically. This Discover, I never would have gotten, but Capital One, I don't know why the hell I didn't know that, but that was a tough one. That was a good one, G-man.
Yeah,
I should
that's
know
a
that.
good one. That's a good one. Very interesting. Capital One
We're
has it
just
now.
turning the switch into college football, so cut me some slack
Yeah,
here.
yeah, we gotta
On New
get you
Year's
warmed
Day,
up.
you can
I'm
ask me
warming
every
you up.
sponsor. New Year's Day, ask me every sponsor. I'll give them all to you. Okay.
I'm getting you ready. I'm warming you up. Hey, let me ask you this: what stadium will they play that Orange Ball in? Do you remember the name of the stadium in Miami?
Is it Hard Rock?
Hard Rock Stadium. You
Come
got
on now.
that one.
Yeah,
Hard Rock
where the
Stadium
Dolphins play, right?
in Miami. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got that one, man.
All right, all right.
We hope you all enjoyed the show. Thank you to our production crew and our guests that we're going to have in the future. We appreciate you all checking us out and letting us know if you want to be a guest. And thanks to our sponsor,
Oh, yeah.
Moonwise IQ. And if you like the show, please press the like and subscribe button. Help us get up to 1,000 subscribers to our channel on YouTube. But we're
Yeah.
all over the place, Team Money. We're on all the social channels, right?
Oh, yeah, we got a little bit of everything, a little bit of TikTok and Instagram, YouTube. We got a podcast out, so feel free to reach out if you have any questions and want to be on the show anytime soon. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Gary, enjoy the rest of the week there, and
Yes.
good luck this weekend with your Buckeyes, man.
Thanks. Hey, good luck yourself, Bearcat Nation.
Let's
Look
go,
at the
let's
sea
go,
behind you.
Bearcats, baby. Let's go. We'll talk to you guys later. We'll see you.
All right.